The next presentation is an enaction of the parable of the wedding banquet found in Matthew chapter 22, verses 1 to 14. Jesus said this parable to his followers to teach them the importance of being prepared to both accept God's invitation of salvation and to enter heaven based on God's standards.
Once, long ago, there lived a mighty king who ruled over a large nation. Now this king was a conqueror, mighty indeed, and adored by all. Every day, as he went through his kingdom, the people would come and worship this man whom they called king. "Long live the king, and let him reign for eternity," shouted the people of his kingdom. Nevertheless, this king was humble and never boasted about his many riches. He was kind to the people of his kingdom. Now the king had a son who was to be married. So he decided to host a great banquet for the occasion, and sent his messengers throughout the land to invite all his family and friends. But unfortunately, many of his friends rejected the offer, choosing instead to throw the invitation away. Many mocked, while others said they were too busy with other arrangements. No one seemed to have time for the king and his son's banquet. Nevertheless, some even conspired against the king's messengers, deciding it was best to eliminate them. These guests abused and mistreated the messengers who had come to invite them for the wedding. In their anger and rage, they even seized some of them and had them killed. Soon it was brought to the king's attention what had happened. So he summoned all his soldiers and told them to go and seize and punish all those who committed the crime against the king's servants. Kill them all and burn their cities, the king charged them. So the soldiers marched to the cities and sought those who rejected the invitation of the king. They captured and killed each one of them and destroyed their lands and belongings. They made sure to follow through fully on the king's orders. Once things had calmed down, the king once again called upon his servants and said, "Now go into the highways, the street corners, and the marketplaces, and call as many citizens as you find. Invite them all to the wedding." So those servants went out into the highways and gathered together all whom they found, both bad and good, rich and poor, merchants, farmers, and many more were all invited. All of those people who were called by the servants accepted the offer and came to the palace with joy and gratitude. Soon the banquet was ready, and the guests prepared themselves as well. Each of them made sure to wear the wedding dress that was provided. They made sure to look their best for the king who was to come. All but one man. He neither wore the wedding dress or really cared for what the king had done. He was just there for the food. Now once the banquet was ready and the guests were all seated, the king finally entered. However, when he saw a man there who was not wearing the right wedding garment, he was enraged. He ordered the man to be banished forever. The parable concludes that many are invited, but few are chosen. We have all been invited to the wedding of the Lamb, our Lord Jesus Christ. Most of us have accepted the invitation and become saved. Yet that's not enough. This parable teaches us that we should also put on the right wedding garments, those of righteousness, holiness, and complete obedience to God, or else we may not be chosen to participate in the wedding. Are you prepared? Are you prepared? Are you prepared?
A big round of applause to our young adults. They've been practicing this for so long. Louder.